Hello, good morning, and welcome back to the vlog. It is Saturday, and we are picking up right where we left off last week in the barn, ready to start the build for my office built-ins. I've decided I'm going to do this in 3 phases. We're going to build the base cabinets first, then we're going to build the countertops, then we're going to build the upper cabinets and bookshelves. That way we don't get too far ahead of ourselves with cuts and make mistakes. This is the first time I'm doing a build like this, so I want to be really conscious of what I'm doing along the way, triple check my measurements to make sure I only have to cut everything one time. Last week we went to Home Depot to pick up plywood to build all of the cabinet and shelf boxes. I'm going to be using 3/4 inch birch plywood for all of the frames, and then I've got some beadboard to slide in for the backs of the cabinets and the shelves. Today I'm just going to be building the cabinet base. We only have one of them. I will pop a picture on screen here of the overall layout so you kind of remember what we're working toward, and this is going to be on the left side up against the wall. I think I'll have 2, maybe 3 drawers instead of cabinets with shelves, just to switch things up visually, but also I wanted the challenge of trying to build drawers. The first thing I'm going to do is cut down one of these sheets of 4x8 plywood into the sized panels that we've already measured for, and then we will work on assembling that box. Got a little injury. It was a stupid mistake, and no power tools were powered on except for the vacuum. So yeah, I was installing the dado blade on our table saw, and I realized that I did not have the correct throat plate This is just like a safety mechanism that you place over top of the blade, and it prevents wood from like sliding down the slot and getting stuck or trapped in the blade and kicking back at you. You need a different throat plate for dado blades because they are much thicker, and this slot is not thick enough to fit the blade through it. So at that point I decided I'll clean up. We'll be done for today. I ordered some throat plates on Amazon, and hopefully they will get here tomorrow so I can keep moving along. So yeah, I just decided to call it quits for today, and I wanted to tidy up so when I came out to the barn tomorrow to work, I had a nice clean workspace. So I was just like vacuuming all the sawdust up underneath the saw, and I was like bent over, and I had the fence extended out on the table saw, and there are these little teeth along the edges that sort of catch the fence to keep it in place. I'll show you a picture right here so you can see what I'm talking about. I must have been like underneath it and then come back and leaned forward, and I just rocked my face right into those little teeth. So I have a little gash and a couple of like, you know, lumps, so I'm sure I'll have a nice little bruise there. Oh my goodness, it's always the little things, like just when I think I'm in the clear, all the power tools are off, I run into something. But anyway, we made good progress. I got all of the wood panels cut for the base cabinet. I have the throat plates coming tomorrow, so I literally just need to make 2 more cuts, both dado cuts, before I can assemble the whole box. So hopefully that'll come at a decent time tomorrow, and then we can glue everything up and see if I made my cuts right. But for today, I am done. I am hot, I am sweaty, I'm covered in sawdust, my head hurts, and it just is a good time to go get early dinner and probably some ice cream because I think I earned it. Hello and happy Monday. I received my new throat plate in the mail, so I'm going to do a test fit to make sure this fits over the dado blade properly, and then I'm going to work on fine-tuning the adjustments of the blade to ensure the groove we cut is going to be the perfect depth and width to fit a piece of 3/4 inch plywood into it. So what that means is I might have to take the blade out and adjust the spacers I've already set in between each of the layers of the blade, and then run another test cut and check that a piece of wood will fit in there properly. So hopefully this will not take too long. I only have 2 passes that I need to run on each of the side panels of our base cabinet. So let's install this and see how the blade cuts. I was able to dado out a groove in the bottom of both of these side panels, so that is all set to glue and nail this shelf in place. I'm going to take a break for dinner, and then I need to drill some pocket holes in these brace pieces that I'm going to use to connect the top of the cabinet. We don't actually need a solid shelf at the top, so I'm trying to, you know, minimize waste and just use these little strips of plywood to hold the box square. That top is going to be covered by a countertop, and then the drawers will kind of hide it from underneath, so you'll never know that there's not a solid piece there. Then tomorrow I should have time to assemble the whole box, glue and nail and screw everything in place, and then bring it inside to see if it fits. I was going to finish drilling all the pocket holes yesterday, but then I remembered I still had to cut the back panel. So that is what you just saw me do. I cut down the back panel, I drilled all of the pocket holes on the brace pieces, and I also forgot I needed to cut a groove to slide the back panel in place once we build the box. So I did that on the bottom and the two sides, and then the brace piece that goes along the back. It is so hot outside, so I'm actually gonna bring everything into the office, and I'm going to assemble the box in that space because it's cooler, and then I don't have to drag the assembled box through the house. I did make one mistake when I was cutting the groove for the back panel. The groove has to be on the back edge of both sides. I cut it on the same side of both boards, so when I mirror the two side panels, the grooves were on opposite ends. So I had to cut one of the grooves twice, and with a mistake like that, I could fill it with Bondo or wood filler and sand it all down because it's going to be painted. But because this lower cabinet box is going to contain drawers, you're not ever going to be able to see it. So I'm just going to leave it in an effort to just keep moving forward and not get hung up on mistakes. I'm gonna leave it be. If we have to fix it later, we can do that. We now have a finished box, so it's not screwed in place or anything. We still have a decent amount of leveling that needs to happen. Our old floors are very uneven, and this back board here is like kind of tilted up, so I have some work to do to figure out how to get this level before we can install like a countertop. But the box itself is pretty darn square, and I'm just like so proud of how it turned out. I've never done this before, so all the planning so far is paying off, which I'm very happy about. I'll show you up close. So this is the one area I messed up. So I actually cut this groove on the wrong side of the board. It was supposed to be in the back, but I'm just gonna leave it because once you have all the drawers and everything in here, you won't even see it. So there's no sense going through the effort of covering it up. But basically we've got our two side panels, and they have the dadoed groove down here, and that's where this bottom panel sort of like notches into place. I glued this one in place and used those corner squares to ensure that this was gluing up at a 90-degree angle. And then the back panel slid into the smaller grooves I cut on both side panels and the bottom panel. When both of the side panels and the bottom panel were all glued together, that groove aligned in the back, so I could just slide the panel in place, and then I could pop this top brace over it, and I used the pocket hole screws to screw that down. The reason I'm using these brace pieces across the top instead of a solid piece is because the countertop is going to cover the whole thing. So we don't need to waste plywood and use a solid piece. This will be covered. From the front, you'll see the face frame, and then we'll have all the drawer fronts here. So when you're looking at it from afar, unless you're like opening a drawer and looking up underneath, you would never know that that wasn't a solid piece of plywood. On the back here, if I can slide this out a little bit, you can see the back panel is inset 3/4 of an inch here so that I had room to install these nailer boards. These are just like the braces I installed on the top, but having them on the back gives us something solid to screw into. So if we're mounting these to the wall, or when I install the brackets for the drawers, I have something to screw into in the back. And from a material perspective, we don't have to put a solid sheet of 3/4 inch plywood on the back. This is just a 1/4 inch backer so that it appears to be solid. So it's a more cost-effective way to build the box. Lastly, on the very bottom, you can see I installed this toe kick board. So it's inset about 3.5 inches. You can kind of see it better from this angle. And the reason for that is when you're actually standing up, you know, in front of the cabinet, if I'm working here at the printer, my toes can actually fit underneath that little slot instead of having this solid wall so that I have to stand a few inches back when I'm working. It's really just like a comfort thing. A lot of kitchen cabinets have this and you might not even realize it, but I'm gonna try to do something fun and decorative down there. I just haven't quite sorted out which direction I want to go yet. So that's still TBD, but the piece I used to install is, again, just like all of those other braces. It's a 4-inch tall board, and I just used pocket holes to screw it into both side panels on the left and right. So that's it for this base cabinet. The next step will be leveling this out, cutting the baseboard so it can kind of sit back in place, and then figuring out where I'm going to install the brace boards along the back of the wall here. So when I cut the countertop, it has something to rest on. I also need to build a little support here on the right for the right side of the desk to rest on. It's not gonna be a cabinet or anything like that. It's just gonna be like a really simple, skinny little rectangle that I can kind of frame out and put like some decorative beadboard on the outside. So it'll kind of act like a leg, but it will be a solid wall like this. I'm not sure how much more I will be able to fit in this week. I've got a few things going on, and then Friday my sister and I are headed back up to Canada to go to Balnea Spa, which is where Matt and I went back in February for my birthday. I'm super excited because it's warm weather now, so we can actually explore more of the property and enjoy being outside in the sunshine. So if you watched that previous vlog, I will link it here. You'll know that you're not allowed to bring cameras or phones or tablets or anything in there. You're not even allowed to talk. So you're forced to relax. You can bring a book and read. I will probably bring my sketchbook. But it will just be a nice relaxing day and an opportunity for my sister and I to catch up because it has been so long. So if I am able to fit anything else in, I will definitely share that. If not, next week we will work on cutting and installing the countertop. I have arrived at my sister's and we are going to do, whoa, I am bright. We are going to do a garden walk. They are much further ahead than we are, but I'm gonna do some shopping. I've just returned from my sister's and also Canada for a quick visit to Balnea Spa for a spa day, and it was amazing. Highly recommend. Matt and I went there in February and it was great, but obviously it was winter, so some of the facility was closed off. But in the summertime, they have the docks open. They have these like floating air mattresses, I guess, that you can float on in the lake. They've got a whole bunch of hot tubs and seating areas closer to the lake that are open in the summer. They still have the whole indoor facility open. They had this new area that was beneath the infinity pool, had this like full wall that was a big window that just opened up, and they actually had sand on the floor, so it felt like you were on the beach but you were inside just looking out to the lake. I mean, it's such a dream. This place is amazing. I am forever grateful to my wedding photographer who told me about this place. I will include a link in the description below. If you want a relaxing getaway, you do not have to speak. You can't talk at this place. You can't bring your phone, no tablets, nothing. It is the perfect place to go disappear, read your book, and be completely uninterrupted for a whole day or more if you would like. They also have treatments there, like massages and pedicures and facials and all of that if you want to like tack that onto your visit. So anyway, it was a really relaxing day, very much needed. Now I am back and it is Saturday and I'm going to run a few errands before getting together with a friend later today. I'm going to stop at a friend's new like baby children's boutique. She's opening a storefront in Littleton, Massachusetts. It's called Rosebud Jo and it looks adorable. She's been selling things online for a little while preparing the storefront, but today is opening day and I'm excited to go check it out. So I will include a little bit of that for you. And then I'm going to go back to that garden center we went to a few weeks ago to buy flowers for the front garden, and I'm going to grab one more hydrangea to fill that gap I left for it. So we'll grab that and maybe plant it tomorrow. And then I'm hanging out with a friend. So busy day, but I feel refreshed and relaxed and ready to go after the spa visit yesterday. So let's get going. Street, but how cute was Rosebud Jo? Oh my gosh. Kate has done such an amazing job of curating this beautiful collection of toys and clothes. I could have bought everything in the store. I did have to control myself, but if you do have kids or you're shopping for kids, I highly recommend checking it out. The storefront is located in Littleton, Massachusetts, but if you're not located in this area, she does have an online storefront where you can shop from the comfort of your home. So definitely check it out. I will make sure to include a link in the description. And if you stop into the storefront, tell her I sent you. Now we are going to switch gears to plant shopping. I'm going to try to control myself because I really don't need that much more. I am going to pick up one more hydrangea. We'll see if they have anything else. I think I might get a couple more bags of the Moodoo brand compost, and then I do need to get some flower fertilizer because I want to give the flowers a boost. Some of them are not looking so hot, and I want to see if that will maybe help a little bit. I don't know, we'll see, but let's go check out what they have. Back home, and I did pretty good. I did get another hydrangea, which is looking much happier at the moment than the other two, which desperately need to be watered. And then I ended up getting 2 yarrow plants. When we were at the spa, they just have the most gorgeous setting, but in one area where they have these layered decks, they had a big border garden just filled with yarrow. And the yarrow was kind of spent, but it was starting to like go to seed, and the heads of the flowers were all starting to dry out, and it just looks so pretty. It had the most beautiful texture. So I got a few pinkish purple ones, knowing that they will spread. I can divide them, I can, you know, move them around and get this larger hedge type look with them eventually. And then I got 2 of this like purpley blue flower. The variety is called Campanula. Rotundifolia olympica. It's just this sort of like light bluish purple flower, and it's kind of grassy, and I thought it was cute. So these are kind of like on the tail end, but you can see all this new growth down here, so the plants are still very healthy. And you know, next year when they come back, we'll get to enjoy these flowers for a longer period of time. This is the yarrow, and that's my hydrangea. And then I just got some more Moodoo compost, and I also got this Plant Tone organic fertilizer. So I asked them what they recommended for, like, you know, gardens that have all kinds of different flowers, and they recommended this Plant Tone, so we're gonna give it a try, see if it works. These are all looking a little bit sad because it's been quite warm, and I think they need a good water. So I'm going to go ahead and water the garden, and we are going to wrap things up here this week. Hopefully I will have time tomorrow to continue working on the office, maybe start creating a template for the countertop that I'm going to cut. We will see, but you will have to wait until next week for more updates on that. Thank you so much for watching this week. I hope you learned something and are enjoying the slow but steady office build project. I'm excited to keep moving on that, and I'm having a lot of fun sharing the process with you. If you liked the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for future updates, and I will see you again next week.